because his nickname used to be Jim Crow Joe because he's a racist. He's the one that said, well, I don't want busing because I don't want my neighborhood turned into a jungle.
Well, there are any number of sound cuts. And if there's one thing, maybe you know how to do this. There are people who know how to take YouTube videos, for example, and edit them, splice them together. If I had that power, there are any number of isolated cuts on YouTube where you can hear Biden make these racist statements. And if I had the ability to edit, oh my gosh, I would be king of the world, because I would edit all of those things together and play them in perpetuity. And perpetuity is exactly what the Democrats want for voting.
Even a famous one during the election, he said, well, if you vote for Trump, you're not really black. Well, first of all, African Americans are not monolithic.
Oh, but they must be, according to Democrats.
Now, whose show were you on last week? Yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, he's 20% Jewish because I gave him that 20%.
Ah, okay.
And he didn't have to cut 20%. But besides that, he's a conservative. So he's not African American because he votes for Trump?
Well, the implication is clearly there. In other words, Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots couldn't be more insulting. Hey, folks, it's past the top of the hour. I just want to play and make you remember this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we have had Jeff DUNETZ on. We'll be putting everything together here in just a moment. We're wrapping up the show. Jeff DUNETZ, again, thank you for being on here for the entire 2 hours, and thank you for staying up so late.
Thank you for having me on.
But the point again is, and this is once more what I wish to emphasize, what the Democrat Party, I believe, is understanding, and again, I would like your feedback on this, Jeff DUNETZ, is they're finally realizing that black Americans are not exactly the monolithic bloc that they originally thought they were. Hence, their now major push to kind of cast black Americans aside and favor illegal Americans whom they perceive will be lockstep future voters for the Democrat Party. Because
you know why? Because under Trump, before the pandemic, the economy for black Americans was the best ever.
Unemployment was the lowest for black Americans and Hispanics under Trump for 50 years. More black Americans and Hispanics voted for a Republican, Trump, than at any time in our history. Why would that be? I submit it's because Trump looks at everyone and wants everyone in the tent. Everyone.
You know what? People don't get that Hispanics, African Americans, all of us, what we want is we want income, and we want to be able to put food on our tables, and if we had kids, we want to put them in through college. Okay, that's what we want. And we don't care about are you black, are you white, are you Hispanic? I don't care about that.
No.
That's not how I choose my friends. You know, you mentioned it before. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. must be turning over in his grave because he taught us that you don't judge people by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And Democrats don't believe in that.
Which only makes sense. It's a republic if you can keep it. But here's the deal. as we talked about last Thursday, I wrapped up the 3-hour big roundtable discussion with this. I asked each one of those people, Shannon Wright, Ralph Chittims, Ken McClinton, and Randy Perham. I said, what do you think the future of religion and or conservatives is? And I said, my theory is this. You have been handed a golden opportunity to take this back if we take advantage of said opportunity. I am of the belief that 2022 is going to be prophetic. It is going to be, well, literally biblical, and it's going to result in a major series of defeats for people that literally, I can describe it no other way, despise this country and everything she stands for. So just when you believe, everyone, that we're going right down and our tails are aflame, okay, we're going to have to go through some chaotic times. Gotcha. Given. I get it. Simultaneously, just as occurred late 2019 and early 2020 with the Democrats to take advantage of the chaos in this nation and tell you that riots in your cities weren't riots, we have the opportunity to take this nation right back. Now, will Trump come back? Will Trump be back? I don't know. I really do not know. Do we absolutely need him? We could use him, but I think we can do it ourselves. I think there are other people that can step in. I can think of two right off the bat. But this is not, oh, we're going to explode. No, we're not going to explode. We have the ability to change this nation and bring it back to normal people if we work on it. Jeff DUNETZ, your final thoughts for tonight on that, sir.
The only thing that worries me is the filibuster. They take that away, it'll be hard to change things. We might not win 20 years. They could pass that House HR 1.
Yeah, that's true.
However, okay, I really think that this country couldn't have existed this long and welcomed so many different people if it wasn't somehow blessed by our Creator. And I'm a very observant person.
Yes.
And look, putting God against any of those communists that call themselves socialists, I'll pick God. It's really, I can't see anybody defeating, and anybody who believes in their maker, and I don't care which way you believe it. Okay, I'm not the God police, but anybody who has a true connection to their maker will not follow what the socialists are doing. And I truly believe that this is the best country in the world.
Absolutely.
And it's going to stay that way because we won't stand for it.
I believe the thing we have to do is make sure we never give up.
That's right.
I talked last Thursday, and I certainly don't proselytize, and I went into some details. Maybe I need to make some more explanations later on in another show about my relationship with God and what I feel about religion. I gave a few of my views last Thursday. But we get our rights here in this United States, which is the big issue with the LDAM. We get our rights from God. We don't get our rights from government. And therein lies the rub and, once more, the major difference between leftists and conservatives.
It's also the major difference between the United States and every other country in the world.
Pretty much. Pretty much. We get our rights from God. And leftists, Democrats, socialists, communists want to their goal was to eliminate religion wholesale because they wanted government to be God. Government must be your God. And that can never be. We can never allow that to happen. And as you indicated, Jeff Dunetz, worship any way you want. This country should not be there to tell you what you must do in terms of your religion, unless you kill people. That's a story for another day.
Well, yeah.
But we know where our rights source. And leftists want it to be government.
Right. Correct. 100%. That's what's great about this country. And we can't, you got to fight to keep that.
That's exactly my point. We cannot ever afford to be complacent. One of the things that I asked and posed and answered in last Thursday's show was pastors, for example, and people who are religious do not have the luxury of separating religion from politics anymore, unless you simply wish to be steamrollered. And I'll tell you this, and I told this to those folks on Thursday. I don't know if this makes an issue or not, makes a difference. But when I used to give my email out, people would say, BZ, why do you have so many black Americans on your show? And I said, essentially, because those are mostly the people, not all, but a good portion of the people who are religious, believe in God, and are conservative and think like me. And I also want people to know that a black conservative, they exist. They're not dead.
That's crazy. You're going to tell me now that they're Jewish conservatives?
Yeah, I know. That's kind of weird. That is kind of a strange concept, is it not? But my point was this. And I'm sure people are going to ask me if I go to my email. I haven't been there for probably, a week. And I'm sure I'll probably get an email, something similar to, well, why did you have only black American pastors? There were 3 pastors on the show last week. And I'll tell you this, as I told them, and I didn't want to make it an issue, but it's only an issue because leftists force the hand and make it an issue. So I'll tell the truth. I'll be blunt. I asked 2 white pastors to be on the show. Both refused. Now, I didn't ask for a reason. I just had to take them at their word. NI, not interested. Okay. All right. But I wanted to ask. And they refused. Now, is it because of melanin? I don't know. I can't say. And I wasn't going to push the issue. It just is as it lays. But I had to tell people that. It's true. So I went with who I had, but it's not because I didn't ask as many people as I could. So I did. Some people accepted, some people refused. Okay. That's where we are.
Bingo.
So Jeff Dunetz, I don't know what the dealio is. I enjoyed this time talking to you more than just about any other time I've had you on the show. I've had a wonderful time tonight.
Well, that's because I'm wearing shorts and you can see my legs.
Do you have hairy legs that are blonde that kind of crisp up in the summer?
Yeah, something like that.
I got hairy legs.
That's Biden's people.
I got hairy legs. Maybe I should make a song out of that. I got hairy legs. I have hairy legs, but they're not really all that hairy.
You did sound like President Bubba.
Yeah, just for a second. Yeah, it wasn't purposeful. Jeff DUNETZ, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you ever so kindly. We've been here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it is now 1:19 where you are on the left coast. Oh, thank God you're not a clock watcher. So thank you very much for being here. Tell everybody where you can be seen and read and where they should go for their first morning stop in the morning after they've had, their sit down or something. Or they could do it during that as well. But where can folks go to find you and read you?
lidblog.com.
Absolutamento. By the way, that's Hungarian.
Monday through Friday. I don't write on Saturday.
Okay. And I know why. So absolutamento, that's Hungarian for absolutely. Because as I told you earlier today, I inject different languages into the show. And Hungarian, once more. I had some Italian and then some Spanish, and I'm ending tonight with Hungarian. So, Jeff DUNETZ, got to have you back, obviously. Duh.
But if you're going to speak Hungarian, they cook with raisins, so you have to have raisins.
Okay. Speaking of which, I watched my dog last week. This was the strangest thing. I'm in the living room. I'm sitting down at the chair watching TV. The dog Shadow is next to me, and the next thing I know, I hear, and he just clapped his jaws for no reason in front of the chair until I finally realized he just ate a fly. So there's another fly.
Yeah.
About another 5 minutes later, he eats a fly. He's that fast. And so I finally discovered and realized, you know what? To him, those are sky raisins.
That's right. And it's protein.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize he was that fast. So, once again, I'm amazed.
The dog I grew up with used to do that with bees.
Dogs are good people.
They're the best.
Dogs are really good people. And like everybody knows, all dogs go to heaven.
That's right.
Thank you, Jeff, for being here tonight. Folks,
Thank you, sir.
Jeff DUNETZ from lidblog.com. Jeff DUNETZ from lidblog.com. A great guy.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Exactly. A great guy and a great show. Thanks, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you'll find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP, and on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I will be consorting in less than 5 minutes because I don't have to drive home from the SHR Media studio anymore. The refrigerator's about 15 feet away. And thanks to Jeff DUNETZ so kindly for being here tonight. Thanks to everybody for listening live. Thanks to everybody listening in podcast. I get a ton of people listening in podcast. To the American trucker who listens late at night, thank you. God bless you. You keep America moving. Thanks to everybody for being in chat, listening live. Have a great weekend, folks. God bless, take care, and be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.